Hello, everybody, and welcome to the July 28th Trips and Traps, the first one from Saratoga. I'm Andy Serling, joined by Eric Donovan.
6 races to bring you a full slate on this opening episode of Trips and Traps from Saratoga. A lot of first-time starters we're going to take a look at in this episode, and the first one indeed is a first-time starter. It's a maiden special weight for 2-year-old fillies. Her name is Stop Shopping Maria for a Micropoli breaking from the inside.
Yeah, this was a Todd Pletcher Micropoli first-time starter, and took a similar amount of money the first three finishers, and the start was a disaster for this horse. No question that she had significant trouble, and she's a talented horse. And the first three finishers of this race we get in the pan are talented horses. We'll roll it a little past there, and you'll see how badly she was stumbling. And she lost position. The question that Eric and I have, and I think he and I are on the same page for a change in this race, is what would have happened to her if she had broken cleanly?
Well, that's a good question, because either she ends up on the lead, probably vying with the two-horse in here, Delightful Magic, or she gets to the same spot where she is now.
Yeah, I think she ends up vying inside for the lead. Now, Delightful Magic's very talented, and the eventual winner is the horse sitting second on the outside, My Miss Aurelia for Steve Asmussen. And I think that horse ends up getting a more perfect trip and wins the race anyway. Stop Shopping Maria, yes, the stumble jars a horse. Yes, it cost her position, but she ends up in a reasonably good spot, and she's able to angle out sweetly in the stretch and can't gain any ground.
Yeah, I would say the one thing, going forward with Stop Shopping Maria, if you like her because of the race that she ran, not because of the stumble. I don't think that's a reason to really move her up in this race. It looks like these top two horses are pulling away from her in mid-stretch here, but she does kind of get back into the race inside the 16th pole a little bit. She's not going to challenge, but, I like the way she kind of finishes up here late in the last 40 yards or so. So if you like her, I think you're betting her off, what she did after the start.
Fair enough. She never gives up. I think that's the positive point for her. And this race got an 86 buyer. The stake, the Schuylerville on opening day, got a 76. These are superior horses, and we're not knocking Stop Shopping Maria, but I think you're right. Don't get overly excited about the stumble. Evaluate her and see what the horses look like she's running against. Look, they may well be a lot of first-time starters, and she is a good horse, but I think people may make a little too much of this.
I agree. We'll take a look at another first-time starter. This one, a 3-year-old, though, maiden special weight from July 23rd. It was race number 7, 6 furlongs, Chad Brown firster.
Yeah, this is a horse named Captain's Cat, who was bet heavily, just under 6-1 in this field, where the favorite was just under 5-1. Coming out of the gate, getting slammed, getting shut off. You can see it on the head-on there, and we'll show you the pan, and you'll notice the Captain's Cat in the very noticeable pink silks of the Wests, sort of getting eliminated, knocked back to last.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of makes his own trouble for himself by not braking sharply, kind of lugging out a little bit at the brake and then getting bumped a little bit. But the manner in which this race was run, including the impressive performance by the winner, our King of the Road, a horse like this has absolutely no shot coming from where Captain's Cat was trying to come from.
It's an 11-horse field, you're right. The winner runs a 93 buyer off the screen for Todd Pletcher, 109 flat. And this horse, Captain's Cat, you're right. You're right. That's one of the reasons I don't like firsters, Eric. Very often, they just don't brake as sharply. This horse will brake so much sharper the next time it runs. And as you can see, he's getting himself back in the picture, and he'll make a little bit of a run, and even more so around the turn, before just being hopelessly beat.
Yeah, I mean, this race is just, a throw-out race for Captain's Cat, a good education for him, and we'll see here start to make this, 3-wide run around the turn here, as we'll stop and highlight him here. Starts to pick it up a little bit, puts in a decent little run, but, the race is kind of getting away from him a little bit as the winner and the horse in the front end, our King of the Road, ran such a spectacular effort here, and the race doesn't really collapse at all. I mean, our King of the Road draws off here. The horses that were essentially kind of in behind him are the ones that are battling it out for the rest, and you can see Captain's Cat going very wide, too, which is going to cost them also.
Yeah, it's a situation with first-time starters. You want to see them show you a little something, and Captain's Cat did. Gets left, totally out of position, makes that big run on the turn, and Javier Castellano, as they head to the 16th pole here, he realizes, I have no chance to get anything. I'm not going to beat up on this horse, and he takes him in hand. He didn't cost him a lot, but I think he would have been even closer if he really rode him hard. Captain's Cat's a horse I'm extremely interested in the next time he runs, and I have to think that Chad will have him ready for a race by the end of the meet.
I would think so. We'll take a look at one more race in this first segment of Trips and Traps. We'll look at the 8th race from July 23rd, New York Red Maiden Special Weight for fillies and mares. We're going to take a look at the 9, Strike a Line Through It. Was a ton of trouble in the stretch.
Does have a ton of trouble, and Strike a Line Through It was the best horse in the race. And I say that having made a big score with the first two horses, so I was fortunate because of this situation. Not only is this a race dominating the front end and Strike a Line Through is out in the back of the pack, he'll have trouble, or she'll have trouble around the far turn, and she really even has some trouble in the stretch. The problem with her, and Eric brought this up, is she's had a lot of chances, she's burned a lot of money, She's coming off a race at Belmont Park where she had no excuse to lose, and she found one. So the question is, will she be overbet based on the trouble and get herself in trouble again?
Well, that's a good question, and now she's had 10 career starts. She's finished in the money 5 times, and starting to look like a horse who likes to settle for minor awards a little bit more. But this was her 3rd start of her 4-year-old season. She ran 2 decent second-place finishes downstate at Belmont within almost a 2-week span down there in early June, mid-June. Perhaps she's getting a little bit better here, but another thing with her, too, is that, the way a lot of these races play on the turf course here at Saratoga, a horse with her style that likes to come from as far back as she does, you're going to have things work out, and you're going to have to get a little bit lucky.
No, that's a very valid point, Eric. In the one-turn races at Belmont in this division, they seem to be fairer in some ways around the one-turn. Here, you get speed dominant. Now, listen, the horses that ran 1-2 that are sitting 1st and 4th right now, both or 2nd and 4th, getting great trips. They had every right to win this race. They weren't slouches. They weren't lucky. But they had dynamics in their favor, and Strike a Line Through It had so much against her here and easily beats Dance and Tiz, and you see Strike a Line Through It. Right now, you're going to see that shuffle when she gets in trouble.
As you can pass the toe boards there, and then you can see the 7 back up a little bit, and Strike a Line Through It gets steadied there, and loses some position there, back to 2nd to last, and is going to be stuck behind a wall of horses turning for home.
Yeah, this is a very good performance, and I don't think Eric's disagreeing with me that Strike a Line Through It ran the best race of anybody in here. But the question you have to ask yourself is, how will it set up next time? And is Strike a Line Through It a horse that you're really confident? And this is really a nice ride by Alex Solis to finally get some room. I mean, the trouble wasn't his fault. It's just it's the kind of horse he's riding, and really takes off towards the end. And these first 2 horses, no tell who in second. You don't get a more perfect trip than that horse got.
Yeah, I think it was an excellent effort from Strike a Line Through It. I think next time out you got to see who she's up against and what kind of price she is, and how the pace scenario is going to unfold. If there's not much speed in there, she might be up against it again.
She might be, but she did run extremely well in this race. We love to hear your thoughts. We need your help. There's a whole lot going on up here in Saratoga. I'd like to hear any thoughts you have. The email address is tripsandtraps@NYRA.com.
Come on back for the second segment.